What's going on, Jerome? So the Minnesota Vikings general manager job has passed from Rick Spielman to Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, and some fans are still up in arms. Some fans want Spielman back. Some fans are with Kwesi. But what's interesting is that there are still a number of Spielman guys on the roster, and Rick Spielman is still very visible with his work with CBS Sports as well as the 33rd team. And Spielman, I like how Spielman subtly does content, yes, about guys that he knows, about guys he drafted. He does content about Darisaw. He does content about Justin Jefferson, and also he does content about Danielle, the real deal Hunter, who he snagged in the third round back in the day. Huge steal, as Danielle is still one of the best edge rushers in the National Football League. And Danielle, so far this season, is tied for the league lead in sacks with 8. He's has the league lead for tackles for loss, and he's proven that he's scheme agnostic. As well as he's still one of the best edge rushers in the game. But the Vikings are still dealing with the fallout of that 5-year, $72 million deal that Spielman signed with Danielle Hunter. And they've been kicking the can. They've been readjusting the contract seemingly each of the last 3 seasons. And Danielle is set to be a free agent in 2024. The Vikings, remember, cannot franchise tag him. So they got a decision. Pay Danielle, which makes a lot of sense, or trying to trade him before the trade deadline, because remember, no tag and trade. And Spielman weighed in again, subtly said, hey, remember when I drafted this guy in the third round? That was awesome. He did up a piece at the 33rd team. 2023 NFL trade deadline, why Danielle Hunter should be a hot commodity. This is what pretty Ricky Spielman wrote. Any NFL blah, 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 blah. Pass rushers can have a major impact on the team that acquires them. Look at what Von Miller did. We'll look at what Bradley Chubb did, yada, yada, yada. Getting to know Danielle Hunter. Hunter is a player I'm very familiar with. We drafted him in the third round 2015. The reason he lasted that long was he did not have a lot of sack production at LSU. He only registered 4.5 total sacks in his 3-year collegiate career, which was the thing too. A lot of fans, when they took Danielle in the third round, yes, physical specimen, physical freak, super high RAS, but 4.5 sacks are like, boo, boo. Our scouts and coaches fell in love with his untapped potential. There was no question about his combination of unique size, 6'5", 260 plus pounds, speed and athleticism. That was evident on the tape evaluation and at his pro day. It was just a matter of developing that untapped potential. And putting Danielle Hunter with Andrea Patterson was absolutely amazing. And Everson Griffin as his mentor. Same thing with B-Rob. It was a great spot for Danielle, man. The more we spent around Danielle during the pre-draft process, the stronger we felt about him. His passion for the game, work ethic, and drive to reach his full potential stood out during the interview process. Those traits helped him become a 3-time Pro Bowl pick who has 79 career sacks. Also, remember, he was the fastest 250 sacks in NFL history, and this is from before. But Danielle, I mean, if Danielle didn't miss 2020, I think that he could have been on a Hall of Fame pace. But he's still getting back in the saddle. Last year, he led the team in sacks with 10.5, and this year tied for the league lead with 8. And Spielman continues, logical trade destination. There are plenty of teams that should be interested in acquiring Hunter, blah, blah, blah. The team that would most benefit would be the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, part of this might be self-serving for Rick, because remember, after the Vikings had fired Rick, there have been ties to him potentially joining the Jaguars front office. So is this a spot where Spielman, who I think still lives in Florida, is like, hey, I'll take the Jaguars job after I work my contacts in the media and we get you Danielle Hunter. All that stuff, man. But he continued. Jacksonville, the type of move would help the Jaguars close the gap on the Chiefs, the Bills, the Bengals, and the Dolphins, a hyper-competitive AFC. Danielle Hunter is the type of difference-making player worth pursuing. Now, Rick doesn't list any of the trade compensation that would come the Vikings' way, but like we said before, Danielle Hunter's trade compensation might be a little bit tough, because the Vikings don't have a ton of leverage if they want to move him. Now, Danielle Hunter would be worth a first and change in a vacuum, but the fact that the Vikings cannot tag and trade him next offseason really diminishes his value, and the Vikings probably looking at like a third, like 2/3, something like that, a third and a third, or a third and a fourth, and I understand that doesn't seem like much, and I mean, that could get Kwesi in some hot water with the fan base, even hotter than he's already in, but that's the market right now. That's why I'm still firmly on keep Danielle, pay Danielle and roll with that, right? So he's proven that he can operate as a stand-up outside linebacker in a 3-4. He's proven that he can be a hand-in-the-dirt defensive end, and he's proven that he can be that dude. So pay him. He's going to be 29 next year, or 29 at the end of the month. Pay him. He's still firmly in his prime, and then go from there, man. Go from there. But your thoughts and our thoughts. Rick Spielman, former Vikings GM. And did you know that Spielman drafted him? Talks about Danielle's value at the trade deadline. Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skol, production value.